Sorry about that, guys. I didn't realize I have a screen recording software thing that's really buggy. It's only lasts for 10 minutes of recording, and basically too cheap to buy anything else right now. So sorry, the the review of Pumpkin cut off all of a sudden in the last review, but I'm gonna finish it now. So as I was saying before I was cut off, we see Kent's car go over a cliff in flames, but then basically next scene, uh, Carolyn goes and finds him in a hospital bed, sitting up, fully conscious, and we're basically led to believe this is hours after the crash, or maybe a day. So that wasn't too believable. But those were the main two parts of the film. That and him supposedly speeding on a small country road. Those were the two main parts of the film that weren't very believable. But I think both maybe can be explained. For example, the where he's going supposedly 90 miles an hour, but in reality he's only going like 20. Kind of reminds me of the famous slow car chase scene with O.J. Simpson back in the 90s. But anyway, I think that can be explained because in real life he's going very slow and swerving back and forth like maybe an alcoholic would, and not going too fast and driving recklessly, but rather too slow and swerving. Of course, I don't know if he had any alcohol at the time after the uh, notorious fight with um, Pumpkin, which I hadn't talked much about. But I see that basically as symbolism there. I see the speedometer symbolizing Kent's thoughts going a mile a minute, basically. As the saying goes, basically he's distraught from uh, from the dance with the sorority, and he was king, and Carolyn was basically queen of the respective sororities or whatever, and um, basically was crashed by Pumpkin and his gang, his henchmen. Um, I think that the speedometer represents his thoughts going a mile a minute. In reality, he's driving very slowly, and the fiery crash. I don't, but all this can maybe be tied together is actually not straying far from reality if you assume that Christina Ricci's character Carolyn died of a drug overdose halfway, or a little more than halfway through the film. And if you assume all that, then all the rest seems a bit more believable. For example, I'm trying to think. Did she have sex with Pumpkin before or after the drug? I just saw this movie like an hour ago, but I'm already forgetting a lot. I think it was before she supposedly overdosed on drugs. So, but a lot of the stuff that happens after her overdose isn't, it's kind of a stretch. For example, the crashing of the dance by the three guys led by Pumpkin. He somehow got a cab to the university, and because he couldn't drive, as we saw in an earlier scene, and then her boyfriend Kent's basically his character is really interesting. He's portrayed by the film through most of it as this cliche, strong jock, got young, athletic. I don't know about intelligent, but good looks guy that basically is the boyfriend of the opposite sex's equivalent. And then toward the end of the film, we see a change of heart in Kent, and at the end of the film, he's portrayed as being the coach of the, I don't think it's Special Olympics, but whatever, uh, team that Pumpkin is on, competing. And so basically, we see him do a complete 180. This is the guy that ruined his life, crippled him probably permanently, took away his girlfriend or to be wife, and left him, maybe paralyzed. And we see him coaching him and congratulating him on becoming more of a man than he ever was. So this film. I mean, it's hard to really. You can draw several conclusions from it. I really liked the ending. Kind of felt a feel good ending, but it was also kind of a mystery. And I'm going to go into that now. I'm not going to explain the whole film because you saw what happened last time it got cut off. But I am just going to say quickly, when Pumpkin, you have to watch the movie to fill in the blanks, but when Pumpkin is running his race and he's near the finish line, but he's trailing this big fat kid, this big fat guy running, and basically it's like the story of the tortoise and the hare. The hare, the tortoise takes so long, and the hare thinks he's won it, so he basically goes and takes a nap. So that's kind of what happens here. But then, when it looks sure like Pumpkin is going to lose the race, all of a sudden, out of the blue, Carolyn arrives in the stands overlooking the racetrack, and camera pans up to her as Pumpkin would be looking while running. And basically, you see this. You see Carolyn kind of like silhouetted against the background of the sky, and she's kind of like staring down, expressionless. So I think this is where maybe some people think that this is all either a dream or she actually died and is coming back to help guide Pumpkin and Kent. So it's kind of, I kind of draw similarities to the ending of this film with several other films. Some people say The Graduate, which is an obvious one, but I also say Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. The ending there, you'll have to see it to see what I mean. Of course, through the whole film, I saw a lot of similarities to Rebel Without a Cause, and I'm sure there's quite a few other films that this film drew influence from. So, this film is still unfairly viewed, I think, or not well known about. It has been sort of critically reevaluated, and some people are now claiming it is one of the most underrated films of the 2000s, which I may have to agree on that. It's no Mulholland Drive, but it does have its charm, and I think I've seen it crack a few isolated top 1,000 movies of all time lists, albeit not very high up, but still, or low down, whatever your opinion. So I think this movie, it is has a cult following, but it's underrated. It's a really good movie, and you definitely need to see it. It has a lot more depth and symbolism than I realized, and of course, I never realized all this as a kid. And I would give this movie probably 3 out of 4 stars. Robert Ebert actually gave it 3.5 out of 4, or 5, which was really generous. One of the few glowing reviews at the time it came out. It is an interesting movie, and I invite you all to check it out. So yeah, I might be doing another review of this later, a more thorough review with clips and everything. But for now, that's my review of Pumpkin. Really good movie, and you can draw your own conclusions on what happens and the twist. Is she alive, or is she dreaming all this happens, or is she dead?